Disclaimer. This guest is known to cause defects to your dreams. The emotional talks are not to be taken to your heart. The content is under pressure and may be very hot and spicy for your taste. Avoid direct contact with judgment and your emotions. If rashes develop, discontinue. Do not attempt this at home. No professional designers were harmed after they read the script of the show. Substantial penalty for early withdrawal for the audience. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome everyone to the fifth episode of ADS.com. With an aim to bridge the gap between designers and the engineers in our community, ADS.com has been a pioneer in its field. I'm your host Atharva Dahotre, and here we are with two awesome designers who will be concluding this season with a bang. This may be the last episode, but the sparks of this rivalry have been flying around for a long time. This is it, guys. It's ID versus CD, or as we like to call it, Bronze versus Beauty. And who will emerge victorious in this grand finale? So, before we get down to the episode, I request the speakers to take the oath and pledge their allegiance to the world of designeering.
Designeering is my passion,
All designers are my fraternity brothers and sisters.
and all the great designers and my friends present in the panel with me will get an equal opportunity to tell me that my designs.
Are as good as the art by primary students.
I vow to take design seriously, and
Defend thy honor when someone asks me for a free logo.
if someone asks me to clear bugs, I'll admire them.
If someone notices my incomplete portfolio, I will not be offended tonight.
I will not trace images to call myself a designer tonight.
I'll not copy the codes to call myself a programmer.
I'll try to learn the tools beyond the pen tool.
I will try to help people as much as I can, but not before getting a commission.
Lastly, I pledge allegiance to the world of designeering,
And vow to undertake the journey of self-realization.
that we design for users and their opinions matter as such.
This fight is going to be an epic one, no doubt. And this time the sparks are flying high. We have two fierce warriors who will be pitted against each other for the ultimate supremacy of the Gristing Crown. We have with us Mr. Sarang Sheth, the editor-in-chief at Yanko Design, and we have with us Ms. Apeksha Gupta, the founder of Right Brain Design Studio. So now it's time for the first segment of the episode, the lightning talks, where we do not discuss the success but the path to it and the many failures and hurdles these champions have overcome and gone through. So without any further ado, I would like to call upon the stage Mr. Sarang Sheth.
From the very start, I've been a single child, and I first grew up in a building with no neighbors my age also. So even through school, I faced this problem of not having too many friends. If you ask me, I'm more nostalgic about college than I am about school, because I never made much friends in school. I was a very lonely kid, being obsessed in my books, and the reason I think that's a failure and that's a problem is because it stunted my ability to, participate well in groups over time. Like if you see my portfolio also, not many of them are group projects. That's there, as well as the fact that I think nostalgia is a very important factor. If you see my portfolio, you'll realize that the Motorola Moto Razr concept was a very important thing. Was a very valuable project, and the reason was nostalgia. So the reason I'm talking about school is because I really don't have fond memories about school, and I think that's a regret and a failure, because I think you should have fond memories of every part of your life and every wake of your life, because nostalgia can be a very important emotion, and it's something that I regret, because I don't remember school, I don't remember my school friends, and I don't look back on those days with fondness the way I would. Moving forward, this is college. When I joined in 2009, I joined MIT-ID, but that wasn't obviously my first preference. My first preference was NID. And my dreams were completely set in stone कि मैं NID जाऊंगा, फिर आगे का देखा जाएगा. And that didn't work out. So I just want people to know that sometimes, you make these plans and they don't work out. right? You can plan your actions, but you can't plan what is going to happen to you. You can only plan what you're doing. So it's okay to make plans, but be very well prepared कि sometimes it won't work out. I mean, this entire year itself is also proof कि plan बनेगा पर साला you don't know whether it's going to execute or not. Now, when I got into college, I honestly initially got in for graphic design, but I changed my mind somewhere down the line. And that change in my plan was completely a gut decision. If you tell me to break it down, I don't think I'll be able to break it down. But that being said, I don't have any regrets. So once in a while, if you have a gut decision, it's probably coming from a lot of stuff that's going inside your mind. So don't ignore those gut decisions. Sometimes probably they're right. Sometimes they can even be wrong also. Like if you move on to the next slide, I had major plans for going abroad to work also, right? When I graduated, I thought कि मैं abroad जाके job करूँगा. I graduated in 2014. तब कुछ economic crisis नहीं था, तब कुछ pandemic नहीं था. I thought it would be really easy, but it didn't work out. And that's, I mean, you need to plan and you need to re-strategize. And like I said, you don't always get what you want. And sometimes life decides your path. You don't decide your path. You only decide how you react to what's happening to you. So that's something. Like I applied for 9 months abroad. I didn't get in, and then my first job was in Bangalore. And that being said, I joined this job thinking ki chalo, my path has been decided. I'll do this job. But I learned something that the education industry doesn't prepare you for the industry itself. You're taught to be a product designer, but you don't necessarily join a company as a product designer. I joined as a product designer, but my role shifted over time. I was making more keyshot renders, I was making more PowerPoint presentations, and I felt a little cheated, but I think it's a lesson that I learned that, you know, the industry needs something, some industry might need something completely different from you. Not necessarily that you will get to do what you want. That being said, Sachin would make a very pathetic playback singer. If Sachin was passionate about singing and not passionate about cricket, his life wouldn't have taken him on that road that he's talking, like the road that he is now on. What you want to do and what you're good at and what you're made to do are completely different things. You may want to be a designer, like I wanted to be a designer, but turns out I was good at writing and I was good at showcasing other people's work. So you should also have that in the back of your mind. See where your core competencies are. That being said, now nobody knows who Elisha Gray is. Elisha Gray was, if you look it up on Wikipedia, was credited with being the inventor of the telephone. But the reason nobody knows Elisha Gray is because Alexander Graham Bell patented the concept first. And even though Elisha Gray had a working model, that person's patent file was not ready and nobody remembers Elisha Gray. I want you to focus on the output of your dreams. That's going to happen in the next slide as well. It's very easy to think about concepts. I think about concepts a lot. I've got tons of ideas that have not rendered, that I've not worked on because I've got a job. And at the same time, thinking about these ideas is very nice. You think about some product that you're going to design, you think about some job paths that you're going to take, some award you're going to win, but you don't really do the work, you don't put in the effort, and those productive, right? Because when you dream about something, you're also getting the joy associated with the dream, but you're not achieving anything, you're not putting the effort, and there's no real output. So don't be seduced by the joy in your dreams, otherwise you won't achieve anything. I'm telling you, I've got a Google Keep document, which is like a notepad, filled with at least 40 to 50 ideas that I've not worked on. Ideas for articles, ideas for songs, ideas for product concepts, ideas for companies, but I've never worked on them. And sometimes suddenly I'll be searching some design award program and I'll see ki sala ye idea kisi ne already bana diya and they've won an award also. So it's a very shitty feeling when something like that happens. So you will get, I think people get at least 5 brilliant ideas in their lifetime. Don't hold your cards close to your chest. Play your cards. If you don't play your cards, then you don't win the game, right? So dreaming isn't isn't like a journey. Dreaming is halfway of the journey. Achieving what you dreamt of is the end goal, right? So get to the end goal.
That was truly an inspiring journey to say the least, Sarang. It's funny how we always think about things in a very unilateral way. I wouldn't be making a speculation by saying that your talk has most certainly created an impact on the audience for the better. Thank you so much for sharing this amazing experience and your journey with us. And now it's time for our next speaker to take the spotlight, Miss Apeksha Gupta, a truly versatile designer and an entrepreneur. She has had over 9 years of experience for creating brand identities across print and digital platforms. And she also believes in adding value to businesses through design. Miss Apeksha, we are all ears to your story now.
Hey guys, I'm Apeksha. I'm a graphic designer and a creative entrepreneur. I have my own studio called The Right Brain, and I've just recently started a community organization. So today, I think this is a great initiative by all of you guys that we're talking about the failures, because I haven't done that in the past. And when I actually started remembering all my failures, I was quite surprised and also overwhelmed at the same time that I've made it this far in life. And I'm just going to share a few pointers with you for that. Okay, so at 19, I was told if I don't specialize, I will fail. A lot of times in college, I was told that if I have to find that one thing that I could be really, really good at. And I completely failed at that. And because I failed at that, I think I succeeded in life, because I set up my own company, and because I chose to listen to my inner voice, which was to try different things, exposing yourself to a large amount of work, different kinds of mediums, I think is what feeds your creativity. So as a creative individual, it's very, very important for yourself to just believe in yourself, believe in your inner voice, create different things, expose yourself to as many mediums as you can. At 20, I actually picked up a project and I was associated with them for over 8 months. And towards the last bit of it, they stopped paying me. And then the guy told me that I was stupid and he would make sure that I don't get work because I asked for my money. I went up to his office, I really fought for it, I fought for my money, spent 5 hours there, and he literally had to call the guards to get me out of the office. But at the end of it, I got my money. For me, it wasn't more about the money, it was more about something that I worked really hard for. It was just 8 grands during that time. I was at the beginning of my career, and then a middle-aged man to tell me that I'm going to sabotage your career forever is quite daunting. But the advice is that you will basically meet all kinds of people in your career journey, but you have to hold your ground and speak up for yourself. So at 21, my family asked me, what do you do to make a living apart from drawing all the time? I had a really hard time explaining it to them that what graphic design exactly is, or what creativity exactly is, or what was I doing, because for them, I was just sitting with a piece of paper and drawing all the time. But I think what got me through that was the belief that I had in my work. And that's what I want you to probably take from this slide, that just believe in what you're doing, believe in the work that you're creating, because if you don't, nobody else will. Moving on. So I was also rejected 4 times by my dream workplace. There was this designer I really badly wanted to work with. And every time I'd update my portfolio, I will send them an email saying, I really want to work with you. This is my work. I've done this. Kept chasing them. And finally, I got through. But each time I got rejected, I had the sinking feeling in my heart, but I had to balance it out and pull myself up again and say that, okay, no, I'm going to try again. And I kept trying. And that's what really it is about, right? You have to keep chasing your ambition every single time and do it till you reach that stage. It could become quite overwhelming. The process can feel really exhausting and tiring, but as long as you're able to bounce back, I think it'll work just fine. So just keep chasing your ambition. At 22, I actually faced a major financial setback with my family, and I couldn't pursue my master's degree. I had big plans in college. I will go to the best of the colleges in the world. But because of that setback, I had to make a very hard decision at a very young age. I chose to stay back, chose to support my family. I had to find a balance between working on my portfolio or working for money to support my family. So, but I think it worked out pretty well by the end of it. Don't want it to become a sob story, but all I can say is that you have to be extremely resilient in life in general. You have to adapt yourself to whatever life throws at you, because as long as you're resilient, I think you can do wonders with your life. At 25, by 25, I think I was switching jobs already. I was trying to figure my career out, and that's when I was offered by Google and Uber. And these were two big corporate giants coming to Delhi, coming to India, and setting up their own design studios. This was like a golden opportunity for me, but I had to say no. And why I said no was because probably at that time in my life, I was already thinking of starting my own company or doing something on my own. And the offers did not really align with my career goals. So I again had to say no. And I think it's important for us to say no and not get carried away with, whatever life is throwing at us. So you have to be fearless and learn to say no. And I'm so glad that I said no, because of which, I've been able to work with over 40 clients in last 2 years. I've been able to establish a beautiful company. I've been able to build a beautiful team for myself. And that's only happened because I could say no. So at 26, my work was stolen. This was at a very initial stage of me working independently. So when I started out on my own, I got this project. I started working on it. I worked on it for about 6 months, and then they told me the project was going on hold. And after 2 months, what I see is that the campaign is all over social media. It's everywhere. And I was quite shattered during that time because my work was taken away from me. I wasn't paid anything. I wasn't even given due credits. But at that time, I think I had more important things to do. So what I learned from there was that you have to pick your battles at times. You have to understand and recognize what's important for you to fight for in that moment, in your circumstance, because not every battle deserves the same amount of energy. And also a very interesting thing that I learned was to detach yourself from work and to be able to let go of things. And at 27, people doubted my capabilities because of my age. So everybody told me that I don't look 27 in the first place, and 27 is not the right age for you to set up a company or set up a studio or to build a team, because you lack experience and things. But I was confident enough. I knew what I was headed for. I put my blinders on, did what I had to do. People will say things mostly because half the time they're just jealous or they can't do what you are doing. So you have to let them talk. You have to let them what they are saying and just create that own worldview for yourself and believe in that. That's all that matters. At 28, okay, this was very interesting. The pandemic hit. I still remember, it was 12th of March, we moved into a new office. It was this dream office that all of us dreamt of, and my team was super excited. We were getting really big projects. One of the projects came from New York, and we were very, very excited. And the pandemic hit, the lockdown happened. New York was in a terrible shape. We basically had to pay rent. We had no idea where we were headed. I kept paying rent. Again, I faced a massive financial setback because of that. I had to restructure everything, understand how will this work from home thing work out. A lot of projects fell through, but we held tight, and I think we did just fine. We came out of it alive, and I think that's what matters. At 29, I am reinventing myself. By reinventing, I mean I am still trying different things. I picked up clay sculpting. That's something that I've never done before. I learned pottery. I'm exploring ceramics. I also got selected for this Google Rare Leadership Fellowship, which happens at a global level, and I was the only Indian who got selected there. And through that, I became a part of this massive global creative community. And with that, triggered a thought of establishing my own creative community in India, one of its kind, which is just gone live about 2 days back. It's called Unstuck Together. Yeah, the whole idea is to just keep moving forward, see what's ahead of you, have something to look forward to, and expose yourself to as many things as you can. That's it.
Solid pointers from Miss Apeksha. in a very timeless view, Very few individuals have the knack for tackling or even realizing what needs to be done at the moment and paving their own way into their own story. This was truly an inspiring journey for every single one of us. And now it's time for our warriors to clash in the gristing arena because things are going to be taken up a notch. So I hope you all are ready with your ice packs and your popcorn as goes the tradition because this is going to get quite toasty. So let the gristing commence.
Now, any shit that I say about communication design eventually reflects on myself because I wanted to be a graphic designer when I joined college, and it was very impulsive for me to change to product design. I made the choice somewhere down the line. I can't plot the exact moment, but I chose to do industrial design because I believe industrial design is better. I don't have a problem with communication design. I don't have a problem with the guys practicing, studying communication design. I have 5 problems. Okay. Now, when I'm bashing communication design, I'm mainly focusing on the graphic design guys and the visual design guys. I'm not focusing on the animators because the animators have a different set of problems. There aren't that many animators in the country, and their biggest problem is that इंडिया को कैसे समझाए कि छोटा भीम छोड़ के भी और कुछ है इंडिया में एनिमेशन के लिए. So they don't have the औकात and the time to fight with industrial designers. And the reason I'm not including film and video guys is because film and video guys don't call themselves designers. It's mainly the graphic design guys who call themselves designers. So the historical battle between ID and CD is always industrial designers and graphic designers. Transportation designers don't come in, retail designers don't come in, fashion designers don't come in. It's just these two groups that are clashing heads. Okay, that being said, let's just play the game with these usual suspects. Like I said, I've got 5 problems with graphic designers, but it all starts with the first fundamental belief that graphic designers think that graphic design is more important than product design, which I don't need to tell you is very misguided. Okay, graphic design is nice because labeling products are nice. Tomorrow, if I need to go buy a chair, and if I see कि chair पे Herman Miller का label है, that is nice. But if you gave me 2 options, choose between the chair and choose between the Herman Miller का sticker, what will I choose? I'll choose the chair, right? That's like, I need to sit. मेरे को बैठना है, मैं लोगों पे थोड़ी बैठेगा, मैं chair पे बैठेगा. So, I mean, it's nice to have a label, but the label is not what's serving the grand purpose. It's a very small part of it. After 10 years, if that label comes off, or if the label fades, I will not have any complaints. But after 10 years, if a 70-year-old person sits on that chair and the chair snaps into pieces and that 70-year-old person breaks their spine, that's a problem, right? Graphic designers think that they're achieving something really great, but the failures of product design and the needs of product design are more important. There's no argument about that. Graphic design is basically like the heart on Instagram. Even if you don't heart a post, that doesn't change the fundamental truth of the post's existence. The post is the post. Heart is validation. Graphic design is also validation. कल Herman Miller का logo हो या कल पता नहीं किसका logo हो. It's just validation. Problem number 2 is extension of problem number 1. Graphic designers think that they do a lot of stuff, but ideally they're only doing two things. They're making a logo and they're making a website. 90% of the job is या तो logo बनाना है या तो website बनाना है. And 90% of the problems can also be fulfilled by that. You don't need to worry about brands, you don't need to worry about typefaces. कुछ करना नहीं है. Logo बनाओ, website बनाओ. कोई business card नहीं मांग रहा है. आज कोविड का टाइम है, business card कोई ले नहीं रहा है. कोई letter head नहीं मांग रहा है. साला letter head साला सब कुछ Gmail में हो जाता है. You don't need a bloody letter head. Logo बना लो, website बना लो, काम हो जाएगा. और क्या चाहिए? और कुछ चाहिए नहीं ना. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million fonts होंगे. आदमी Helvetica और आदमी Myriad Pro से थक नहीं रहा है.
Right.
Nobody is like आज Myriad Pro से थक गया चल Museo यूज करते हैं. Nobody is, you don't need to make more fonts. Which brings me to problem number 3. 2 ही चीज करने हैं और 2 चीज करने के लिए 2 सॉफ्टवेयर ही काफी है. पूरा काम Photoshop और Illustrator पे हो जाता है. वेबसाइट बनाना है, वेब डेवलपर हायर कर लो, उससे ज्यादा कुछ काम नहीं करना है. You need to make the assets on Photoshop and Illustrator. तुम लोग का काम हो गया. Industrial designers, we need to learn a minimum of 2 CAD softwares. We need to learn a rendering software. We need to find out if everything is compatible. We need to learn about file types. We need to learn about एक फाइल से दूसरे एक प्रोग्राम से दूसरा प्रोग्राम में इंपोर्ट करने में प्रोडक्ट ब्रेक होगा, सर्फेस ब्रेक होगा, यहाँ पे किंक आएगा, यहाँ पे फाइल का स्केल इधर उधर हो जाएगा. We need to worry about that. We need to worry about rendering. अच्छा रिफ्लेक्शन अच्छे से आ रहे, क्लाइंट को अच्छा नहीं लगेगा. कल 3D प्रिंट मांगा, 3D प्रिंटिंग के लिए ये फाइल टाइप चलता नहीं है, वो फाइल टाइप चल रहा है. The problem 4 is that एक लोगो बनाने के जो पैसे मिलते हैं ना ग्राफिक डिजाइनर्स को, उतना हम लोग को एक प्रोडक्ट बनाने के पैसे मिलते हैं. और लोगो बनाने में 2 घंटा लगता है, प्रोडक्ट बनाने में 2 साल लगता है.
True.
The product has to go through multiple iterations. The product has to go through market validation. Nobody validates bloody logos, okay? Nobody sees कि लोगो कैसा लग रहा है, the way they see product कैसा लग रहा है मार्केट पे, शेल्फ पे, सब कुछ. Products, to get a product from concept to design, पैसा लगता है, एफर्ट लगता है, टाइम लगता है. और कभी कभी डिजाइनर को पैसा देने के लिए होता नहीं है, पर साला लोगों के लिए पैसा रहता है ग्राफिक डिजाइनर्स के पास. And they can finish the work essentially in 2 hours. We need to bloody liaise with mold makers. We need to talk to engineers. If a graphic designer spends even 1 day sitting and explaining their designer to an engineer who doesn't get design, or to a mold maker who doesn't get design, they'll realize कि आज का 2 सबसे बड़ा डिजाइनर्स कौन है इंडस्ट्रियल डिजाइन में, करीम रशीद है और जॉनी आयव है. दोनों का सर पे बाल नहीं है. They'll understand why the reason behind that. Now the 5th problem is a little different, because the 5th problem involves a little khujli.
Oh my
All
God.
this while, now graphic design and
Khujli.
industrial design have had their differences. Now this is a problem where graphic designers are encroaching within the industrial design ka boundaries. Now I'll explain to you what I mean by this. They have the himmat of entering UI UX using design thinking, which they've probably never used in their life, and calling themselves product designers. Why? Because a digital product is a product according to them. साला हम लोग बैठ के
Oh my
product
God,
बना रहे हैं, तुम
this
लोग बैठ के
needed
pixels rearrange कर
to
रहे
be
हो.
said. Yes, this needed to be said such big time, it was really needed to be said out loud. I'm just glad you got that point out. Amazing. That's amazing.
Pixels के साथ खेलना प्रोडक्ट नहीं होता है. So
Exactly.
if you draw an analogy, हम लोग बैठ के साला बुलेट ट्रेन बना रहे हैं, बुलेट ट्रेन का आउटसाइड बना रहा है, इनसाइड बना रहे हैं, इंजीनियर्स के साथ काम कर रहा है, डिसाइड कर रहा है कि एरोडायनामिक्स कैसा होगा, पेंट कौन सा यूज करेगा कि साला पेंट में पेंट जॉब फ्रिक्शन से निकलेगा नहीं, स्टैटिक जनरेट नहीं होगा, ये नहीं होगा, वो नहीं होगा, पैसेंजर्स के लिए फेल सेफ एंड ऑल दैट, इमरजेंसी डोर्स. ग्राफिक डिजाइनर्स थिंक कि साला IRCTC का वेबसाइट बना दिया, दैट इज अ प्रोडक्ट अकॉर्डिंग टू देम. दे डोंट अंडरस्टैंड प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन, बट दे वांट टू कॉल देमसेल्व्स प्रोडक्ट डिजाइनर्स.
Oh my God, this is so relatable.
माइक ड्रॉप कर लेता मैं अभी. उबर जो चलाता है ना, उबर जो चलाता है उसको पायलट नहीं बोलता है, और जो एयरप्लेन चलाता है उसको ड्राइवर नहीं बोलता है.
Oh, yeah, that's quote unquote, please. Yeah, that is so well said. Oh my God, that was witty. Yeah.
Whoa, that was power packed, and the temperature has just piled up a few hundred degrees. I think that is a very, very hard craze to recover from, because burns like these need time to wear off. But hold up, we still have our next warrior lined up for us, and this one is not going to step down one single bit. From helping businesses in making an identity for themselves, Apeksha is providing solutions with both brains and beauty. An amazing brand designer, she's coming to avenge and give a beating to the industrial designers. So get ready, because it is payback time. So let's welcome, with a huge round of applause, Miss Apeksha Gupta.
So, industrial design, there is something really, something that I'm quite fascinated by is their prototypes, because I think they'll be committed spouses, because they work on one thing for so long, it just doesn't end, because for the rest of their lives they'll be working on one sketch that never translates into a prototype, because prototypes are basically this unattainable state of zen that never comes, that never happens, it's unachievable. I also think they're very, they are dreamers indeed, because the prototype doesn't come true, ever. The sketch never translates into a prototype. So every time I'm speaking to a friend of mine, they're always working on a sketch, which is a potential prototype. I've never seen what
That's
a
true.
prototype looks like. So yeah, and I also feel that industrial designers are, they are this poster child for OCD. They have this, and why I'm saying this is because they obsess over two things. One is over patents, because they want to patent everything that's happening out there in the world. 1 inch, 1 centimeter, 1 millimeter, they want to patent that. So very recently, interestingly, I came across this funny article which spoke about how Apple and Samsung, they patent their product radius, so the rounded corners and stuff of your iPhone. So they patent all of that. And why is this obsession over this radius? Like, who's got the time? Like, do you come to work and say that अच्छा आज मेरे पास कुछ करने के लिए नहीं है, let's do a patent, let's file for a patent? Is this what you're supposed to do? And what's with the millimeters and the centimeters? They work all their lives to get 1 centimeter right, and when that product hits the market, nobody even notices that. So it's just such a shame. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to yourself and to the world? And oh my god, on the rendering tools, I can just go on and on about it. And once I tried learning, what was that, SolidWorks and Blender. So I tried, because like I'm a graphic designer, but I like doing many things. So I picked up that and I thought, oh, very cool, I'm going to learn these like fancy 3D renders, and I'm going to do this and that. But I realized that I could cover the distance from my house to the moon in the time that's required to learn that software, because of the complexity of it.
Yeah.
It's just so complex. And
That's true.
if by mistake you end up learning that software, every time you will create a pattern, it will crash. Every single time you will create a pattern, it will crash. I mean, we're in 2020 and Adobe has still understood a way to, get those auto recovery features on. But SolidWorks is still struggling. Keyshot is still struggling to get that right. So I think, yeah, guys, do something about your softwares, please. So yeah, and I think one thing that I observed about my industrial designer friends, so my best friends are industrial designers, and every time I meet them, I'm observing them looking too closely into their screen. Like, they will just live in the screen forever. Doing what? Looking at one render that they finally managed to create. They will keep zooming in, zooming out, panning right, panning left, 360-degree view, I don't know what degree, what angle. They keep looking at that, and seasons are changing, their kids will grow up, but they will still like be in that screen looking at that one same render. So I don't get that, how that works. It's really, I feel computer can be discovered twice in that timeline. The amount of time they spend on their just looking at that one render. And yeah, the best part is that, okay, once this is like my favorite part. Once the render is done, the render is out. Now it's about how do you make that render either good or bad? How do you make it look good? You just put it against a black backdrop. So you don't have to, there is no fight in figuring things out. You can literally make anything look fancy by putting it on a black backdrop. So it doesn't matter if your render is good or bad. For me, if I pick up a logo and I put it on a black background and present it to my clients, they'll be like, ye to ashubh hai. This is inauspicious. But for industrial designers, it's so easy. They take anything, put it on a black background, and done. Their job is done. That's it. That's all that I have.
Now this is what we call gristting with elegance. Whoa, I mean, the crest has just blown the top of my head, and along with all the industrial designers out there, it's safe to say the counters and the jabs were just point on, and something which is very hard to recover from. Needless to say, this was an amazing grist from you, Apeksha. And I think that this arena has gotten the best fight it has deserved in a long time. And the crowd seems all charged up with the fierce grist and the amazing lightning talks. Sarang and Apeksha, we, on the behalf of ADS.com, Thank you so much for being a part of our community and spreading the essence of designeering. This is the last episode of the season, and you guys have always been a terrific audience. You have constantly overwhelmed us with your love and your support. And to be honest, that has been something which has kept us going through these tough times. So we are eternally grateful to you for your constant support, and we hope to see you carry the torch of designeering within you, making the design and tech community proud. Also, keep following us on our social media channels to get the latest updates. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and support this ever growing community with your love. Stay safe and have a great day.